What's going on, guys? Bingo here, and I'm with the Duel Factory for another installment of X-2 Drop, a weekly podcast series we do focus on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, and we like to talk about any events that happened either this week or we think are relevant enough to bring up in conversation. So this week, we didn't have much going on, but we did have a Konami policy update for the way the game's played or tournaments, and then we also had the release of Duel Power. So those are going to be what we're talking about this week, and I want to send it over to Joe and ask him what he thinks about the policy changes.
So, big changes in the policy document, you have like your verification, and that affects things such as private knowledge areas. So, cards that are face down, like your face down spell and trap cards, cards in deck, and cards in hand. And basically what they'd say is you can't look or reveal private knowledge to your opponent anymore. And for some cards, that's a huge impact. So for cards like Mind Crush, which is a big topic of discussion, even though it's not really played right now. I heard a clap.
Oh, no, that was me cracking my fingers. Go on.
Sorry. So with cards like Mind Crush, like I said, they're not really played right now. But for example, if you activate Mind Crush and let's say, for example, you call Gazelle or Salamangreat Gazelle, right? If your opponent doesn't have it, they simply tell you no, and that's just how it goes, right? Your opponent doesn't reveal the hand or anything like that to confirm that there's no Gazelle in the hand. And that's actually like a huge difference in power, because Mind Crush used to be able to opponent's entire hand, and you just had full public knowledge, right? Well, now that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And then, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's unfortunate because a lot of these, like, the cards that are affected by this are very specific texts that come out when the format's extremely defined, and you're just trying to outplay your opponent, right? So like Mind Crush, it's never a staple main deck card, but I don't know how many formats it had where it's like staple in the side deck, and some people are even like willing to play it in the main deck.
Well, you have to think of it, and for like some formats, especially like that card. Let's rewind it back to 2015 Necros format, where Necros was everywhere. It was arguably the best deck at National and stuff like that. Decks that weren't Necros, the grand equalizer was Mind Crush. And the reasoning behind that is like when you Mind Crush and you have knowledge of what's in their hand, you basically get a everything the rest of the turn. Yeah. Especially because like Necros plays, they're not straight and narrow, but if you know what they already have, you don't have to go get it, and you can just play along with their play the entire stretch, and that in itself is huge.
Yeah, some people would argue that information gathered from the reveal is almost more important than the actual discard. Like, yeah, it's great if you hit 2 or 3. Like, I've been Mind Crush for 2 invocation. I only ran 2, and I was just screwed. But being able to see the rest of your opponent's hand and knowing how to play the rest of either your back row or your negates, like, that is why people liked the card so much. So,
another one that you can think of, right? Another card that's really affected, or cards like this that are affected by it, such as Reinforcements of the Army, Fire Formation Tenki, or anything that's like an archetype-specific row, right? Like, for a really good one would be Satellanite Deneb, because it goes against any Satellanite. A gadget goes against any gadget. I don't know how many of you guys play Magic the Gathering, but they have something called a Failed Search, where they can activate a card, but just not search anything, right?
Yeah.
Well, in Yu-Gi-Oh!, whenever you activated those cards and you didn't have not target in hand, but something in deck to add off that, it used to go, you had to reveal your deck to your opponent to verify, and that was it, right? And that's powerful in itself, because you can see what your opponent, especially like post games 2 and 3, you can see what your opponent sided in, and you can guess what the rest of their hand is based off what's left in their deck. Now you can't do that, and basically we now have failed searching in Yu-Gi-Oh! With no repercussion other than you get like a minor penalty or something like that in competitive play.
Yeah, and the difference is, like with Elemental Hero Shadow Mist, for example, right? It's got 2 effects, and you can only use 1 per turn, right? So let's say you accidentally trigger the first effect, it searches, right? It searches a hero card.
And yeah, when it goes to the graveyard, it adds a hero. special summon, it adds a change.
Yeah, so let's see, you're evaluating the board, like you activate the effect because it got sent to the grave, but then you realize like you had a better avenue of approach by getting mask change by bringing it back through some other means. Like, let's just say Call of the Haunted. No one's playing it, but, right? So then you just fail the search to say, oh, I had no targets, and then you just Call of the Haunted, search mask change, and it changes the whole game.
Exactly. Like, that's crazy to think about when you actually put it in perspective like that, right? But, like, it's just, to me, like, that policy change, they're just, like, minor, like, right? Because at, like, the high competitive level of plays, when you see it from, like, say we'll do a, like, pool of, like, table 1 through 32 at, like, a regional or a YCS or UDS, right? Minor changes like these don't really matter because most players at that point are like top of competitive play. They don't really care about the whole cheating aspect. They just want to play to the best of their ability, right? Doesn't really matter. And if I'm a firm believer, if you're paying attention to the game state, you can never get cheated. Especially like if you pay attention to all details, you'll be perfectly fine. Where this really affects is when you look at the tables below that. And where I say like the people who are trying to scrap around and get their invite or have never had it or anything like that, or just trying to prove a point. That's where it's going to be more of a nuisance, but I don't think it's going to cause a big enough wave to actually like affect actual competitive play. But
yeah, no, in a vacuum, this is fine, right? Like this shouldn't actually matter. It's just like you said, high tables, like they're not going to cheat whether or not because they don't want to get disqualified or they don't need to, or like it's beneath them, right? And you're playing out locals with your buddies, like they're not going to cheat you. But when you're X2 going into round 9, hoping to get your invite, same thing as the guy across from you who you don't know that guy. He's probably not the best player because he's X2 at a regional, still going for his invite. That's when the stuff affect, like, oh, I'm going to call evenly matched or gazelle, whatever, off Mind Crush, and it just, oh, don't have it. I'll just wait till next turn till you use it, right?
Yeah, it's minor things like that, and I think the places that are most effective or like most affected by the actual policy change is going to be at your local level events, right? Like your locals, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Day, sneak peeks, things like that, because it's a smaller pool of people. But like you're saying, everyone knows who everyone is, right? But see, the thing with that is, at local levels, we have people that I've seen it happen at multiple stuff like that, where people just don't want to lose to a specific person because they think that person's beneath them, so they'll cheat them intentionally because they know that other people are paying attention. And that's where you're going to see you're going to see more malicious play and stuff like that at more casual locals than you would at more competitive.
Yeah. And like the problem with this is, like you said, you can't play around this cheating by just being a good player. You can't observe. You can't just make sure that, you know every card in the game. So, like, no one can cheat you, right? It's not a knowledge base on you. It's trust in your opponent. And that's where the big concern is, right? Mind Crush just says declare a card name, discard 1 card now, right?
Exactly. And Lullaby of Obedience says pay 2,000 points.
Lullaby of Obedience has been a card that I always want to play. It just now it's just like unplayable.
It's sad because like
it's such an interesting card. Nothing else does anything like it, and it's just it's such a cool card.
Zoo format was the perfect example of obedience because in formats where everyone knows where everyone's playing, right? A tier 0 Lullaby is insane.
Yep.
Because like for example, I think the most famous use of Lullaby was I can't remember which YCS it was, but I think it was back during the Fusions. Kamal Crooks had a feature match, right? And he sided in Lullaby. I can't remember if he was main or but he activates Lullaby Obedience, and he calls Speedray Terratop. Well, for some reason, I don't know why you would do this in the Zoom, right? Because it doesn't make sense to me to do that. But this guy sided out Speedray Terratop.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Now, under the old policy documents that we had, Kamal, as we all know, Kamal Crooks was allowed to verify his opponent's main deck that he didn't have Speedray Terratop. Now, unfortunately, in high impact events and stuff like that, you don't have that luxury. And I'm not saying that it's going to promote cheating or anything like that, but I mean, if you're not being watched, and someone might do that, not saying that that's the most ideal situation and stuff like that, but like there's always that chance.
Yeah, I mean, like let's say this policy was implemented right after Zoo came out, right? If you told me that a Zoo player wasn't maining it was 3 Teratop at the time, right?
Yeah.
If you told me they weren't maining 3 Teratop, and like I tried to resolve Lullaby, I called Teratop, and they're like, sorry, bro, don't have it. I'd call a judge. Like, there's no freaking way. But
under the new documents, you can't do that now. And actually,
like another example of Lullaby was what was it 2-3 YCSs ago? I think it was Sydney, right? He Lullabies for Inspector Border in the
No. You're thinking of World.
Was that Worlds?
Yeah, they were playing the Alter. I think it was Trickstar. Yeah, it was Trickstar versus Alter. Or no, it wasn't Alter Customary. I can't remember. But Bowden activated Lullaby and called Inspector. Well, previously in the turn, his opponent activate Desire and banish the other 2 copies out of his deck and have it.
Yeah, and there's even if they weren't banished with this policy, the dude can be like, oh, they're just banished off Desires.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a problem. So, I mean, we could gripe, moan, and complain about it all day, right? But it's not going to change. So, the unfortunate truth is that these cards, they're just going to get phased out, and maybe in Tier 0 formats when it's just key to stop a search because, they have to reveal a card searched that hasn't changed. Maybe it'll see play, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure cards like that are just dead.
Yeah, well, like just 100%. Like their power levels are just not there.
All right, so the other changes in this policy was your favorite and my favorite was the hygiene section.
The way they worded it kills me. So, we all know you'll have this issue at any TCG you go to. It doesn't really matter, honestly. Pokemon, Magic, Bakugan, I can't believe it says Bakugan. DBS, there's always going to be those people, and I'm not saying that they're wrong for doing that, but there's always going to be the people who decide, hey, I'm just going to take a chance this moment and say, I'm not going to bathe today. And you have that wonderful rancid smell of BO for multiple people. No one enjoys that whatsoever. Just putting that out there. Now, what Konami did, and how they eloquently put this, and it puts me in tears every time I think about it. They're not saying that they're going to ask you to leave or anything. They told you, and I quote, will be asked to correct the issue.
The nicest possible way to, like, you can't correct that issue on the spot, right? Like, it's not possible, but they just had to be nice about it. I'm just picturing, like, the head judge walking over to a guy, he's wearing the same shirt for, like, 4 days. It's like a t-shirt with the collar, like, down to his fucking, like, middle of his chest because it's a worn-out shirt, and they're just like, hey, man, like, you fucking stink. Like, you gotta fix it.
I'm waiting to go to an event and see how it's actually handled, because I'm just going to die the first time I see it. Like, it's just gonna, like, there's no nice way to put, because, like, before, right? When you're sitting there, and you just blatantly know that your opponent just smells like ass, like he is rancid, you've been sitting there for 15 minutes, you're trying to combo off, like, think of your best strategy, and you just can't do it because you're thinking of how bad your opponent smells. There's literally nothing you can say that is not going to offend your opponent and not end with you getting a penalty of some sort, right? And it sucks because you're already being penalized for being subjected to it. But, like, now, all that has to happen is a judge simply has to walk by, and it's taken care of.
Oh, man. And then, yeah, man, I just don't get what it is about trading card games and even like video game tournaments. It's just like people are dirty. Like, I can't sit in my, like, if I'm sweaty from the day before or like the day of, like, I can't sit in that. Like, I want to get clean. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. We were talking about that earlier. I don't get how people can just sit in their own filth like that. Like, they have to smell it. Like, I know, like, if you sit in something for long enough, you just get used to sat in it for, like, X amount of time, right? But, like, at some point, you just gotta think to yourself, fuck, dude, I smell.
Yeah, like I've been in situations where it's like 10 in the morning, I went to the gym, and then like something came up, I had to go back to work, so I didn't get to like shower. But that there's absolutely no reason for you to be at a regional or a YCS that you probably got there around 8 or 9 o'clock. Like, you knew this was coming for weeks. Like, it's not like something came up out of nowhere and you're just at this event. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Zero.
One of the reasons I think they worded it that way is like if somebody smells like pot, right? They just reek of some good ganja. And
the good old reefer.
Yeah. So that you can fix. I mean, sometimes you can't because you just like hotbox the car for an hour or something, but like you just shower in a can, Axe, like go outside, get some air, like that'll go away.
Anything.
Like
anything.
It'll take a little bit of time, but that's probably one of the more frustrating things because I can't concentrate when I'm just smelling fucking reefer.
It's so weird though, right? Because like for individuals like you and me, when someone reeks of weed, like it affects your mental state and stuff like that. You're like, guy smell. But then like there's some individuals who literally just cannot operate unless they're under the influence of something. And it's the most mind-boggling thing. Because, like, for them to be in the state of mind to play, they have to ruin your state of mind. And that's just, like, insane to me.
Yep. And, like, don't get it twisted. Like, I have absolutely no problem with somebody smoking weed. Like, it's literally no problem. I think it should be legal on all levels. But if the scent of it is affecting, like, other players, and you got to remember, like, it's children. At heart, it's a children's card game. There are kids that are, 10 years old, around that age there, and it's just not something that needs to be exposed to people at that age. So I'm glad they opened the option for them to fix the problem.
Yeah, the wording kills me. Yeah. It's the best thing.
And just a little thing that we'll touch on is the tier changes. The wording on it is basically just so that they can make the top 32 or top cut like not time dependent. I'm pretty sure that's the only reason they did it at YCSs, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it just gives them the opportunity to add time or change it as they see fit.
Yeah, it's just weird because like we went from having like 2 tiers. We have like. Yeah. Well, technically we had 3 because Worlds was always like its own tier event, but like now we just have like all these eloquent tiers.
Yeah, they added it's like locals, OTS, stuff like that, and then regionals, and then YCSs, and then Worlds, right?
Yeah, Worlds is its own bracket completely.
You ever go to Worlds?
I've never played in Worlds.
Yeah,
but
have gone to the event?
I went to Worlds in Orlando back in 2016.
Is that any different from like a YCS or like what's the venue like?
One of the cool things about Worlds, so when you go there, all the events are free. It does not cost anything to play in all the because of Japanese culture and stuff like that. Because when you do Worlds, you have to respect all Japanese, American, Taiwanese, European, like all that stuff, right? So none of the vendors are allowed to sell single, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of weird, and everything has to be sold at MSRP, including the World sleeves that they give all vendors and players that are. Another cool thing is OCG cards are allowed, right? So if they are TCG legal and you have OCG of them, you're allowed to play those cards.
Oh, that's
but there
cool.
there are some events that let you play OCG format. Like, for example, I was playing Water, and then I played a guy playing a full DDD deck with all the OCG support before we got all the new stuff, so that was really and there's a lot to do at these, but they go by the World's ban lists, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that ban list is always something that's like interesting to look at because they basically got to combine the OCG and TCG ban list, right?
Yeah, essentially.
So some cards get banned, some get unlimited or semi-limited, whatever. All right, I think that was it for the policy changes, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
All right.
The important ones, anyway.
So the second thing is the release of Duel Power, which I thought it was going to be more hype than it is. I guess it's probably because I had just about everything that was like money in there, right? You got Impermanences, Ghost Sisters. It's like a reprint set. So, do you think it's going to affect anything?
I mean, I don't. I think it'll affect all like the deck building and stuff like that, because now like all these like expensive like staple stuff and high deck cards are a lot more affordable now, right? Like $40 to $50 for Infinite Impermanence is a lot better than 80 to 100. Ghost Spell previously only had one printing, and that dropped the price of it drastically.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. Where I think you'll see the major impact is some of the arcades we got. Like this weekend, we got Cyber Dragon Nastier, however right, and I played Cyber Dragons because we had that card, and that changes the dynamic of that deck completely because it has a new grind game. The new Celestial Sphere card came out for Heretics, and that's a new generic Link 2 that Guard Dragon players can go into that doesn't require you to use Saryuja. And I think that might make a difference, but I'm not 100% sure. But I mean, like,
yeah.
Other than that, like, some of the new stuff that we got is honestly, like, negligible best, but I think it's one of those sets that, like, over time, you'll see a bigger impact, but...
Yeah, I think there's a few cards that are just going to be sleeping for a while, like Aroma Seraphy Jasmine. Like, the card's busted. When you read it, it just doesn't have the cards to make it, like, over the top that we need.
Yeah, like, Dandy's gone. We don't have Needle Fiber. There was another card that went with it, right?
It was the FTK.
I can't think of it, but yeah, like, the cards that make it good, like, either we don't have or they're banned, so there's that.
Yeah, and it's just like, we have some of the tools, it's just, if we had Needle Fiber, like, the game would be over, because that card, Needle Fiber Summon Sork, I just don't even want to think about it.
To be fair, Needle Fiber makes every deck good.
Yeah, but you get Orphus Scorpio as free Jasmine, then Glow Up Ball, and I don't even want to think about it.
It gets pretty insane pretty fast.
Yeah, but yeah, for the most part, the only thing Duel Power did was lower the cost of my deck, which is unfortunate.
I mean, it's unfortunate for us, but as a community,
yeah,
it's a good thing. But
now I got to worry about impermanence at a local level.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, at our locals like ours, kind of nice people didn't have those cards.
Yeah, I get other than Ash, after I got printed as a common, like, I just had to worry about Valor, and that was about it.
It was kind of nice, right? Like,
yeah.
you didn't have to think about it.
Play degenerate combo decks like Lightsworn Thunder Dragon.
That was not good at all.
That was awesome.
It was cheeky, but it just wasn't.
Yeah, I bodied BLT with it, okay?
What was it? There was the one game, man, you were playing and you opened like 3 Dark and 3 Hawk.
Yeah, that happens.
It was beautiful.
But
Lightsworn Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, set Imperial Order, Double Colossus, Griffin, Phoenix is pretty good.
Yeah, but like, I never actually saw you. I think that's what was like the best part of that, because you were just so hyped and it just didn't.
I only got to play it for like a week.
Oh yeah, because Fusion went to
yes,
your deck.
Rest in peace, Snow.
Your deck was just destroyed.
Man, Lightsworn, you can't even freaking play Lightsworn anymore unless you're Asian Persuasion.
That is the biggest loser of all, like, the ban list. Like, indirectly, like, Lightsworn, like, was already on like a bad spot because they took grass away, and then they just took everything from it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there'll ever be a card that can replace Snow.
Snow, grass, any of it.
Alright, so what else we got from Duel Power? We got Origin of Prophecy. That ain't gonna do anything.
Yeah, Crowler, the first Prophecy or something like that. Asian Persuasion almost did it.
Almost.
He almost got an invite with it, but he didn't get there. And even in the profile, he tells you that it wasn't that big of an impact.
No, I mean, I guarantee you didn't summon that card.
Probably not. Now, we did get the new Thunder Dragon link, but, like, so that's...
Yeah, it's just not good. It's cool looking. Like, I really wish it was a secret rare. But
odd and gorgeous as a secret.
What else we get?
We got Platinum Gadget, but I don't think anyone this week.
Was that search a machine on something? I can't remember.
I'm pulling it up real quick. Oh, we got Lefty and Righty Driver, too.
Needle Fiber Turbo.
Yeah, they won't do anything right now, but, like, as Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, progresses and stuff like that, those cards will be pretty good. So that was kind of cool. We got those. We got Quintet Magician.
Yeah, but we didn't get the spell. Like, what is that? Like, you give us this cool card to play, and you expect us to, like, poly 5 magicians from our hand or something?
Konami R&D just doesn't understand, bro. They just don't. Hold on, let me see. Platinum. No, that's not.
Like, Quintet Magician's it's like a busted card, if you could get it out.
If you can get it out. Here we go, Platinum Gadget. So, all it takes, it's a generic Link 2 that uses a machine. And it cannot be used as a link material during the turn. That's when actually pay. But during your main phase, you can special summon and own this. Too.
Well, I have no idea what you said. Kept cutting out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, so Platinum Gadget, it's like I said, it's a generic Link 2 that takes 2 machine monsters, any 2 machine monsters. And then the turn it's Link summoned, you can't use it as a Link, so you can't Link climb with it. So that's honestly pretty good. Because it's still a good card, but it keeps you from doing generic, like, really dumb shit with it. But its effect is during your main phase, you can special 1 level machine monster and 2 this card points to, right? So that's honestly a really good effect for specific decks, such as like your ABC decks, if someone has the nerve to play it, gadgets, but I don't see that actually happening. But
it's just a nice utility card for machines in the pocket, right?
Yeah, essentially. And then it also has a floating effect. If it would be destroyed by battle, you can special summon level 4 gadget monster from your deck. So it has the same floating effect as Golden.
That's pretty good. But yeah, overall, Duel Power is not going to do much. And right now, we're just in this awkward state where we're just going to be waiting for a ban list. Like, honestly.
Oh, there was one other interesting card that came out that I completely forgot about, but Beat Cop of the Underworld that came out.
Yeah, that's the only deck that I could think of after Cherubini comes out, like BA won't even play it, is what's it called? Layer. It's got a very interesting synergy with that deck because it can protect Layer. It's got a tributing effect, doesn't it? Yeah,
so Beat Cop of the Underworld generic Link 2. That's one of the big things. It's a generic Link 2 with good downward pointing arrows. And why that is honestly like a really big like thing is like the best generic Link 2 for that we had beforehand is like Lanferinkus. But a lot of people don't realize you can't use that card to make cards like Borload or Boral Sword because it's not an effect monster. So I think this card replaces that. But it gains an additional effect if you use 2 dark monsters to make it. So when you do it, you contribute 1 monster, then target 1 face-up card on the field, place 1 patrol counter on. You can use this effect, let's see, you can only use that effect once per turn. And then if a card with a patrol counter would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you just remove the patrol counter.
Yeah, so you make it, you got Lair on the field, you tribute your opponent's monster, put a patrol counter on Lair. So, I mean, it's okay.
I mean, it's kind of cool, too, because that effect also triggers your Diabolos in decks like that, so that's kind of cool.
All right, well, we're about to hit the 30-minute mark, so Joe, you got any closing remarks?
Like I said, just be on the lookout for that new format changes when I get it, because it'll shake up. I'm sure, even though it's not going to be minor, it's going to shake up the format a lot. So we'll have a lot to talk about then. Yeah, Dark Neostorm's going to be wild, but that's for another day. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast of X2 Drop. I'm Bingo. This is The Duel Factory. Check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/The Duel Factory and youtube.com/TryHardBingo. We do these podcasts every Sunday, and they're up every Monday, as well as
pretty close to daily Yu-Gi-Oh content sometimes when we get around to it.
Yeah,
but
quote unquote on daily.
If you're watching this on YouTube, please remember to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button, and check us both out. All right, peace out.
Also, PSA: Douglas French has no sauce.
Later.